My name is Richard Henry. I work for Rise Life Management Services. Rise, in turn, works for the BGLC in promoting responsible gaming or programs as such. We've been in existence. This program has been in existence since 2005. So if you do the math, you will see how old this program is. We started small, but we certainly have grown, and the fact that we're here talking about responsible gaming is a testimony to the fact that the program has certainly come a far way, and that the idea and the notion of responsible gaming is something that is going to catch on, and it's going to be here to stay. Why responsible gaming? As with smoking cigarettes or drinking alcohol, there are persons who will develop addictions over time. Does everybody agree? Not everybody will, but there are a few people who will become alcoholics. That doesn't mean that we stop the drinking of alcohol. It means that we have to provide the requisite services for people who are going to develop these issues. With that said, the same is true for gaming and gambling. International data tells us that the rates of gambling-related disorders classified as mild to moderate to severe range between 1 to 10%. In a country such as the United States, the rate of gambling disorders runs 1%. There are countries where they're actually less than 1%. So you know that we're not talking about a large percentage of the population. We recognize that most people who game and gamble do not have problems with it. However, for the few that do have problems, it's par for the course, even with international best practices, to have a program of responsible gaming that goes hand in hand. So though it's not an overwhelming percentage, it is still significant, as science has informed us that for every addicted person, there are between 8 to 12 family members who are affected by that addiction. Unfortunately, from time to time, and even in the practice that we have at Rise, because we work with people who have addictions to gambling, some of the persons who are affected in the family are children. As we continue to advance our gaming industry and create more opportunities for individuals to game and gamble, we are going to most naturally increase the likelihood of persons developing gambling-related problems. The BGLC, in its proactive approach and in keeping with international best practices within the field, has over the past 10 years, through Rise, been championing the cause of responsible gaming. In so doing, we have established at Rise both prevention and treatment programs for adults and adolescents alike. One has to agree that this present generation of adolescents live in the most intense environment of legalized gambling in history, in our history. You agree? Think of when you were growing up, you were an adolescent, if you had all these advertisements and these games to negotiate, signage, advertisements on TV, as well as on the radio. We're not saying anything is wrong with that, but what we're saying is this present generation of young people need more skills and knowledge to be able to negotiate that and understand that underage gambling comes with consequences. So it's something that we have to do. So we do prevention programs in primary schools starting at grade 4, teaching our gambling prevention lesson plans. And I can tell you one thing about our lesson plans is that we don't hide stuff from kids. So we're not in the classroom talking about, you must not gamble. You're going to make them curious. We give them information about gambling and why it is that they should not be involved with gambling until they are of an age to make a choice for themselves. So we don't hide information. We talk about probability. We play games of gambling within the classroom to demonstrate to them how it works and what happens when you lose, etc. And if you develop an addiction, how it will affect you in school. And if it affects your schooling, it's going to affect the goals that you have, what you want to become, and ultimately, it's going to affect the type of citizens that we have in Jamaica. So we also give presentations and talks to youth and community groups with regard to responsible gaming and gambling-related disorders. With regard to treatment, we offer group and individual counseling to adults and adolescents alike faced with gambling-related problems. And I should tell you that the issue of a gambling-related disorder has significantly changed, even in the medical sphere, because now there's a book called the DSM, which is the Diagnostic Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders. So every mental disorder that exists is in that book. If it's not in that book, it does not exist. And so finally, it has been moved, the idea of a gambling disorder, into the area of an addiction. And we've been waiting for that to happen for decades. Because prior to that, it had been left in an area where psychiatrists would more than likely give you medication for a gambling-related problem. When it isn't medication that you need, it is about having talk therapy, counseling, and that sort of thing. Another major area that RISE operates is the training of guidance and peer counselors. That's a main feature of our program. We've been able to train with every guidance counselor on this island, unless they came into the system in 2013 through an MOU with the Ministry of Education. We've been able to access all the guidance counselors as well as give them our prevention manual to teach in their classrooms as well, because as you know, RISE is located in Kingston, and though we do travel island-wide and do training, we can't get to every school. So we expect the guidance counselors and the peer educators in the school to also pass on the message about the ills of underage gambling. More significantly, we have been able to train with staff members of gaming lounges, and that's a significant part of our program, helping them to increase their knowledge base in the areas of responsible gaming and gambling disorders. I must tell you that in no gaming lounge or casino, I know for sure in the United States and in Europe, can you be employed and work on the floor unless you have had responsible gaming training. Regardless of how minimal a time that might be, it may be 2 hours, it may be 4 hours, whatever it is, you have to have had that training to be able to hit the floor. It should also be noted that science has informed us that gaming lounge staff or casino staff are regarded as a vulnerable group for the development of gambling-related issues. Now, this does not mean that everybody who works in a gaming lounge is going to develop a gambling-related problem. However, there is an increased likelihood, and I can testify to the fact that because we do treatment at RISE, I have had several clients who work in gaming lounges here in Jamaica. Okay? So we're not saying, this is not against gaming lounges, this is about educating staff so that they have more wisdom and understanding about their own gaming, because your staff members are going to game. And so that they're able to pick up when it is that they're gaming too much, when they're being excessive, and maybe come in to get help. The truth is, most staff in the gaming lounges do not have a problem with gaming, but there are a few in some gaming lounges. And you may know some of your staff members as well. For responsible gaming to be promoted, all gaming lounge staff and other relevant staff must be trained in responsible gaming techniques. Responsible gaming ensures that gaming and gambling takes place in a safe manner and that the gaming environment and operation does not unduly cause those individuals who are vulnerable to game in a disordered manner to do so. Responsible gaming provides a safety net for those individuals who lose control over their gambling and so begin to use resources not designated for that type of activity, such as the mortgage, the rent, the car payment, the school fee, etc., or to use resources not belonging to them, as a few of my clients have, without their knowledge of the person that it belongs to. So there I'm talking about stealing. It is to this end that the BGLC, in collaboration with RISE, has created and written the Code of Conduct for gaming lounges. The code presents a commitment to customers, to staff, to the public, and to underage gambling and minors in terms of preventing them from being exposed to gaming operations. There will be a checklist that gaming lounge operators must meet before being accepted as compliant. Again, this includes the establishment of a VEP, which is a voluntary exclusion program, which is easily accessible by the customers. Now, it might sound a little bit sophisticated, but the voluntary exclusion program is pretty easy to design, and RISE is more than willing and will be there to help you to develop that program. I know that Treasure Hunt has one already because we've been working with them, and they developed their program in 2012. And really simply, it's a program that allows people who determine that they have a problem with their gaming to be able to exclude themselves, to ban themselves. Okay? It is not treatment, but it's an adjunct to treatment. And again, we're talking about international best practices. There is, as far as I know, most gaming facilities, especially in the United States, have to have a voluntary exclusion program. Now, you're not going to be telling people, oh, do you want to ban yourself? It is there, and if somebody wants to access it, that is fine. But it must be there. Again, we don't want you to have any fear, because RISE and the BJLC will hold hand in hand and walk you through the compliance process, which is not very difficult. They're very basic standards, and they're in keeping with best practices worldwide. Responsible gaming describes a situation where stakeholders within the gaming industry uphold agreed upon principles and standards that ensure safe and fair gaming experiences that protect customers and the wider society from the possible adverse effects of gambling disorders. Responsible gaming in a regulated environment exists when consumers can make informed choices and can exercise rational and sensible choices based on their circumstances. It involves a shared responsibility with collective action by the gaming industry, government, individuals, and communities. The aim is to achieve outcomes that are socially responsible and responsive to the community's concerns. The principles that govern responsible gaming are grounded in science and driven by collaboration. In other words, we're talking about principles that have been tried, tested, and proven worldwide. But most significantly, responsible gaming doesn't work if you're not on board. It has to be a collaborative effort. And I must say that since we've been pushing this program from 2005, we have had very good responses from gaming lounge operators and people generally in the industry. And the fact is, the BJLC is very high on this responsible gaming notion, and so it is very important for all of us to get on board. It does not mean less clients. I can tell you what it means. It means better clients, because the disordered gambler is not the person that you want in your facility. The disordered gambler is not going to be a long-term client, is he? The disordered client is either going to go to treatment, or he's going to be killed by somebody because he owed them money. The police is going to take him away because he stole money from the bank that he worked at. So he's not going to be your permanent client. Your permanent and good client is John, who likes gaming, who likes the environment, who likes the food, who likes the girls, who likes the drinks, and he designates monthly $10,000 that he can lose. And he's going to be doing that every month for the next 20 years. Are you with me? That's your good client, not the disordered gambler. He's not going to be there for long. Something is going to happen to him along the way. Thank you very much. And